Hello, this is Apologist Mbonte from the Ministry of Reconciliation. Today, I will be talking about original sin. What is original sin? What was the sin that Adam and Eve committed? Actually, I've heard many people saying that this original sin was sex, and it was a lie. Because there in the book of Genesis, there is proof that that was not true. Let me take you the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 26. Let us make a little bit flashback. Verse 26 says, Then God said, Let us make man in our own image and in our own likeness. That is verse 26a. Let's go to 27a. It says, So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. Male and female. Do we get that? If God created them male and female, means there is a purpose. We know that God created Adam first. Then later he created Eve. What was the purpose of God creating Eve? Was it just for Eve to be a helper of Adam? No. We know this in Genesis 2 verses 18. Verse 28, beg your pardon. God blessed them and said to them, Be fruitful and increase in number. Okay? Be fruitful and increase in number. If sex was the sin, how were they to fulfill this commandment to be fruitful and increase in number? So we see there straightforward that the original sin wasn't sex, but it was disobedience. Because God says, don't. Adam came and proposed to them, do this, and they did. Okay? So that was the original sin. And because of this sin, Adam and Eve were disqualified of remaining in the garden. That is, as covenant representative of marriage and high priesthood. I say high priesthood because if we go in the book of Genesis, it's chapter 2, verse 15, Adam's assignment, that is, to till and to keep the garden, is the same word, the same Hebrew word used to describe the duty of the Leviticus high priest to till and keep in the sanctuary, in the temple. So, if we read the Bible typologically, you realize that the duty of Adam was to serve as a priest in the Garden of Eden. Adam was to be like a priest interceding between man and God. Adam was there as a priest offering sacrifice, okay, between man and God. So, if Adam and Eve were to be as a priest, do we have proof of that? And if the sin was sex, it will make no sense. Actually, no sense from what I've proven and what we have to discuss now. Because Adam and Eve had children before Cain and Abel. Cain and Abel were the children born after the sin. That is, after they have been sent out of the presence of God. So Genesis chapter 2 verse 15 comes true in Genesis chapter 4 verse 1 to 4. Let's look at it. Okay. Genesis chapter 4 1 to 4 says, Adam lay with his wife, Eve, and she became pregnant and gave birth to Cain. Okay? That is out of the garden of Eden, out of the presence of God. With the help of God, I have brought forth a man. Later, she gave birth to his brother Abel. Now Abel kept flock and Cain worked the soil. In the course of time, Cain brought some of the fruit of the soil as an offering to the Lord. That Abel brought fat portions of some of his firstborn of his flock. The Lord looked with favor on Abel and of his offering, but of Cain and his offering he did not look with favor. The question here is, where did Cain and Abel know that they have to offer sacrifice? Where? For nobody have ever done it before. So they must have seen it to their father and mother. That is what Cain or Adam was doing. That is where they know that they have to offer sacrifice. Okay? So therefore, we will realize that if Adam and Eve were to multiply on earth, sex was not original sin. It was disobedient. Okay? So, secondly, let me take you to Genesis chapter 3, verse 16. Genesis chapter 3, verse 16. Genesis chapter 3, verse 16 says, to the woman he said, I will greatly increase your pain in childbearing. With pain you will give birth to children. Here, which means before, Eve was having children without pains. Without pains. But after they have sinned, God greatly increased. Before there was no pain. Now they have too much pain for Eve to bring forth children. Okay? So Adam and Eve had children. They were having children because it wouldn't make sense that after they were created, given the commandment to go and multiply, they will stay like that. Because the question is, how many clock time did it take after creation before they sin? The father, it is written chapter 1 to chapter 2, chapter 3 that they sin. It doesn't mean that it was the next day. No. It must have taken hundreds of years. Actually, that is what happened. Because as I will later prove, we realize that Adam and Eve had many children. And these children had to stay out of the garden. The garden was a sanctuary, the place that only Adam would meet with God and Eve. So the rest have to be out of the garden and come in just after or during mass or intercession like that. Okay? So let me take you to, let's see, Genesis chapter 4, verse 1 to 4. It says, Genesis chapter 4, verse 14. Okay, Genesis chapter 4, verse 14 says, so today you are driving me from the land, and I will be hiding from your presence. This is Cain complaining to God. I will be a redless wanderer on earth, and whoever finds me will kill me. Who was Cain afraid of? If there was only Adam and Eve, Cain had already killed Abel. That is why he's afraid. And God. So automatically, there were only 3 persons left. Who was Cain afraid of? There were people on earth. Then listen to the reply of God. In Genesis 4:15, God says, no, not so. If anyone kill Cain, he will suffer vengeance 7 times over. Wow. So God knew that only Adam and Eve were on earth. And why was God saying that if anyone killed? Who else? Who was God referring to? This proved that there were people on earth. Adam had children before the sin, and they have multiplied. numerously on earth. Okay? So let's listen again to prove that there were many people again on earth. Genesis 4:16. Okay? Genesis 4:16. So Cain went out from the Lord's presence and lived in the land of Nod, east of Eden. Okay? Listen, east of Eden. That is far away from Eden, not in the center of closer to Eden, east of Eden. Cain lay with his wife and she became pregnant. Where did the wife of Cain come from? Where? There were people on earth. Then let's see again on Genesis 4:26, where it says, Seth also had a son. Where did Seth find a wife to have a son? This proved that there were people on earth, not only Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve had children before the birth of Cain and Abel and Seth. They have to have children because those were the only two people created. And the period of their creation and the commandment given for them to be fruitful and multiply, till where they sin, there is possibility that they had children. And knowing that the presence of Adam in the garden was not to be like a farmer to work the garden, because in Genesis 3:17, we saw the punishment of Adam, how the ground was cursed because of him, and the ground produced thorns and thistles. He will labor, he will suffer to eat his food, the fruit of the ground, and the rest. So there is very big contradiction of Genesis 3:17 and Genesis 2:15 here. The two things that Adam have to do. In the Garden of Eden, he was a priest. He was there to do the work of the Lord, to intercede for man, to offer sacrifice. While in Genesis 3:17, now that he has been sent away from the presence of the Lord, he has to suffer to till the ground, to eat the Lord. He could not just eat from the trees like he did in the garden. Now he has to suffer to plant those very trees that he abandoned in the garden, so that they will bear fruit for him to eat out of the garden. Okay? So therefore, Adam was a priest. Adam was a husband, was a father, was a priest. Let's go to Genesis chapter 5, verse 3. Genesis 5, verse 3. When Adam had lived 130 years, he had son in his own likeness, in his own image. 130 years, beginning from when? The time that Adam was created, Adam and Eve was created, they were in the presence of God, and in the presence of God, there is no time. Right? They were living in eternity. They were having children in eternity. So time was not against them. And they could not die. They could not sick. Even the lions, the tiger, the hyena that were there, none of them could attack them. But immediately they stepped out of the presence of God, everything started against them, even time. That is why he has to live 130 years and died, to have children, and later died. They never told us how long he lived before delivering Cain and Abel. Okay? So we realize that Adam was a father, was a husband, and a priest, interceding for all of mankind to God. That is why in the Catholic Church, only our priests will stay in the mission. Okay? And we, the children of the church, will stay out of the mission. We go there for confession, we'll go for intercession, we'll go for mass, we'll go on the Lord's Day. When God rested, that he, hallowed, will go there, will worship the Lord, then will come back. And many will ask, okay, if Adam, or let's say, if the priests are in the likeness of Adam, why are they not married? Then the question that I will ask, a common sense question is, imagine that the priests will marry and there will be the spirit of Eve in the church that will whisper in the ear of Adam. And one day you come to the church, you see a big board private property that they have sold the church. So it is common, it is fitting that the priests don't have to get married because, as Paul said, for those who are married will have temptation of the flesh because they are married. Okay? So, brothers and sisters, realize here that Adam was not just a man or, let's say, somebody in the garden. He was there doing priestly mission, priestly duty. He was a priest, a husband, and a father. So the original sin wasn't what people are saying today. It was disobedient. And it cost Adam his whole life. Everything went astray. Everything got confused. So, brothers and sisters, please share this message so that other people will learn and get blessed. God bless you all. Remain blessed. Bye.